It's Thursday, April 18th, 2013. I'm Rim.
I'm Scott.
And this is Geeknights. Tonight we're talking about drugs.
Let's do this.
So, last year around this time, when PAX badges pretty much sold out right away, we said something to the effect of, you gotta be quicker. But now it's at the point where quickness basically is trumped by randomness.
No, it's still quickness. It's you have to follow and be on the internet connected 24/7, and you know what time of year it's going to be. You know,
but
right?
Scott, even then, it doesn't matter because from what I can gather, while they 4-day badges sold out within about 10 minutes, but that was because there was an 8-minute window between when you got through the queue and you had to type in all your stuff before you lost your reservation.
Yeah.
I hear a few people who are fairly reliable who said that they were actually sold out within a minute, maybe two.
Yeah.
And that it was just a matter of people typing stuff in.
Yep.
And because of the queue was set in stone probably within 10 or 15 seconds. I know someone who literally saw the tweet, had been constantly hitting F5 on the page, went in, and they were sold out by the time they got through the queue.
All right.
So it's pretty much just,
someone else was faster than that.
no, I'm saying being fast only gets you so far. Of all the people who are effectively equivalently fast, that still is not a guarantee of getting a badge
Well, I mean,
anymore.
it's not just how fast you are, right? It's was the tweet delayed getting to your Twitter client by 3 seconds? How often is
Doesn't matter.
Right?
There's people hitting F5. I'm saying it doesn't matter. I'm saying the spread between the first person who bought a 4-day badge and the last person in terms of when they entered the site is probably negligible.
It's a few seconds.
Yeah,
Every second counts.
No, in the real world, Scott, for a human's reaction time, that is negligible.
Be connected to the internet.
Even then, that does not guarantee. In fact,
You should see the difference between me, like, you know, at work, like
you
someone
didn't
will
get
be
any
giving.
badge. You got to hope we get accepted for lectures again this year.
I didn't try. I saw the tweet.
Are you sure you didn't
I
try?
didn't click on it.
Because I clicked on it immediately, and after it took me about 15 minutes to get through the queue. And even then, 4 days were already sold out.
I did not attempt. I said, oh, there it is.
But anyway, that's also all moot because while the 4 days sold out immediately, the 1 days lasted while long enough to where if you wanted one and you were quick, you could have gotten one. So you could have guaranteed yourself 4 days at PAX for an extra $25. But I don't think it's reasonable to say that there's any measure you can take short of being a good presenter, an enforcer, or an exhibitor to guarantee yourself a 4-day badge at this point anymore.
You could be a convention center employee.
Then you don't get to do the events.
You could
You're
work
just in the building.
for Penny Arcade Corporation. You could work for a game company that is exhibiting.
Like I said, Scott, exhibitor.
Well, you aren't the exhibitor. You work for an exhibitor.
That means you get an exhibitor badge. You're an exhibitor for all intents and
you
purposes.
could work for a company that buys a panel. Like if you work for NVIDIA and you're on the NVIDIA panel.
Yeah, that's that's basically being part of the presentation and or exhibition part.
You could be some sort of press person.
In fact, Scott, most of those people have exhibitor badges, not speaker badges.
You could be a press person.
Press doesn't give you a free badge from what I read. I've never applied for a press badge. I don't know the full policy. Did that noise mean the Mets lost? I guess it's raining because they're not playing.
No, they're in Colorado.
Did they lose?
I don't know if the game's over yet. I watched part of it when I was at work.
Because I'm pretty sure that sound on your phone, just based on statistical
based
evidence.
on the month of the year.
Based on statistical evidence of myself hearing that sound and then you saying what it was, that sound means one thing. It means the Mets have just lost.
The Mets lost 11 to 3. All right.
But anyway, yeah, PAX badges are sold out. That sucks. PAX Australia badges are also sold out. That sucks.
PAX Australia badges took a while to sell out. It's really only PAX Prime that sells out instantly. The other ones
I would
do
argue
not.
the reason for that is pretty simple. With PAX East, the 3 days sell out immediately, but then as soon as all the hotels that aren't awful sell out, suddenly people stop buying badges while they look for a hotel that isn't just awful.
I think it's that PAX is been in Seattle longer. People, it's just bigger there. More people know it. It's like they have more influence in that area. There's a greater density of people who know it and want to go to it.
But there are more people more people total statistically who know about PAX, are into gaming, and are nearby with Boston because transit is so much better and the cities are so much closer. I think the primary factor is that there are the number of hotels that aren't literally bullshit. as in they are piles of shit that came out of a cow or a bull of some kind, is too small. Because look, the hotels that you don't have to take a bus to get to sell out as fast as the badges, and then the badges stop selling because no one can find a good hotel, and it takes people a while to resign themselves to staying in a hotel that's so far away they have to take a shuttle bus every day, and that's when the rest of the badges sell out.
Anyway. Things sell out. This is how big events
Yeah,
go. Try to
that.
get Super Bowl tickets, genius.
The whole reason I brought that up is just because a lot of nerds are complaining that it's sold out. And yeah, I get you. It sucks. I feel you.
Yeah, thousands of people who want to go to PAX can't go.
I'm not going to say it doesn't suck that there's some badges being scalped. I'm not going to say it doesn't
but
suck
there's
that
such
it
a
sells
small
out.
number of them.
I'm not going to say this doesn't suck in any way. It sucks. But I feel like most of you who are complaining, that's why I'm talking about this on Thursday instead of Tuesday, have never tried to buy tickets to a popular concert or sporting event in your life.
That is true.
Do you know how many times I sat, like, as a kid, F5ing to try to get tickets to, like, a local metal concert or something and still didn't get them?
It happens.
Yeah.
And it could be worse, right? Think about, like, the Ticketmaster stuff where they sell you as many tickets as you want to buy, and one guy, some ticket broker, goes and waits in line all night, wakes up in the morning for some Madison Square Garden concert, buys 300 tickets, and then goes and sells them through his brokerage. You know, it's like, it happens.
Yeah, but I guess the moral is
PAX only lets people buy a few.
there's not much you can do about it because of the fact that even the nerdy conventions that are in the biggest convention centers have problems with this.
San Diego Comic-Con sells out in a fraction of a second or whatever.
Yeah, there's basically, it's an intractable problem for the short term. Now, in the long term, I think convention culture is going to become a serious force just for the fact that internet culture is starting to trump physical culture among punk kids in North America.
Whatever.
Well, no, I think that's going to be a cool thing. I think there's going to be more and more conventions just because the one thing you can't get from internet culture is the physical socialization and actually getting laid.
No one gets laid at conventions.
That is not true.
Who got laid at a convention?
People get laid at conventions.
Like?
What, you want me to name names of people I know who got laid at conventions?
All I'm saying is that it seems like conventions, at least nerd conventions, are people trying to get laid and failing, people who already come with a significant other and get laid, but they get laid anyway, and people trying to get laid and then getting kicked out for sexually harassing people because they're creepy dudes.
I would say that the people who you see trying to get laid are the ones who are never going to get laid. You don't see the people who are trying to get laid actually get laid because they're off getting laid.
Are they at the convention then?
You can tell there's certain groups of kids and you can see the way they interact. You know that half of them are getting laid at some anime con. That's just how it works. That's how kids, and when I say kids, I mean people under like 20.
I'm pretty sure most of them, right? I think it's one of those things where it's like
And Scott, it's not just sexual intercourse involving penetration. The kids who show up at a con, and again, when I say kids, I mean people under like 20, and make out, you can't do that on the internet yet, effectively, unless you invest in a lot of teledildonics. So as a result,
we should start a teledildonics company.
we probably should.
Our shit would be so much better than everyone else's.
So basically, it's just that the flash mob convention is going to be an increasing force of society because culture among kids today is less and less tied to the physical place they were born or live and more tied to the people they hang out with on the internet.
Well, anyone who's getting laid isn't going to be paying attention to Twitter to buy tickets, so.
Depends. Maybe they're probably RPing.
Oh shit, we got to buy tickets.
They might be RPing they're getting laid
Anyway.
over the internet even though they're in the same room.
All right.
I am someone we knew.
So news.
It's the lounge. Doesn't have to be news.
Your
You can talk about
mom.
whatever.
It's your mom. So, everybody knows who's anybody that there's a new Daft Punk album coming out May 21st.
I was listening to Human After All
Okay.
all day.
Yep. But basically, this thing is crazy. Why? I'm trying to figure out. I mean, clearly Daft Punk is the best and the awesomest. No one's arguing that shit, right? But it's like, how come no other musical group of the present time can make this happen? Has it happened since like the Beatles or Elvis? Like, who since then? Michael Jackson. What else? Is that it? Not quite on the same level of people like anticipating and going crazy. right?
Well, I think it's partly regional. Like if you go to like South Korea right now, Psy is a bigger deal than in the U.S.
He's a big deal, but he's not a Daft Punk deal.
But Daft Punk, I think it's because
Daft Punk is also a worldwide deal.
true, but it's worldwide in a sense that I don't
Just like
run
the
into.
Beatles and Elvis were worldwide deals.
The people don't go. They have a different, similar reaction.
The point is, people are so highly anticipating and desiring and expecting and chomping at their bits as if it was, say, a new Apple device.
I think this is primarily because of the circles and company you keep on the internet is heavily overlapping with Daft Punk fans.
But it is not just that. If you look on the general internets, right, this is basically showing up everywhere, all over. There's people are making like fake videos and trying to, put together the song based on bits and pieces of teasers.
I think it's also that internet people are grossly overrepresenting Daft Punk fans.
Okay, but this thing is
Non-internet people,
also
not Daft Punk fans.
This thing is also all over the TV. I mean, they bought ads for this thing like fucking during SNL, right? How many albums buy ads to promote themselves during SNL that aren't, say, Lonely Island?
Wait, Scott. So I'm going to pretend to be a current punk kid from today's era. Scott, what's an album?
I know. How many, albums these days have like ads in the subway trying to sell them?
I don't know. I don't really pay attention to
I
ads.
see more video games in the subway ads than I don't think I've ever seen an album
It's
down
all
there.
video games and skin clearing up Dr. Sizemores.
Yeah, right? Exactly. So this thing is off the hook.
I'm pretty excited.
So,
I'm a big fan of Daft
I'm
Punk.
not saying I'm not excited. I'm saying why am I and everyone else excited for an album that we haven't been excited for an album since forever ago?
I think when was the last Daft Punk album?
2007.
That was a long time ago.
Yeah.
Long
Well,
time
unless
ago.
you count Tron, which I don't count.
Eh.
Yeah, right. But yeah, so even though a whole bunch of fakes and supposed leaks and everything, tonight at midnight, at least, the single is going to be made available, right? At midnight or 1 a.m., I guess, tomorrow. So basically by the time you listen to this. And I'm going to download it at that exact time because they got me. They got me.
Well, it's good to be gotten sometimes.
Yeah.
Some people deserve my money. It's what
Unless
it is?
this is yet another false rumor.
Yeah, it doesn't matter because all that matters is that this is one of a few situations we've had in recent memory of shut up and take my money.
Yeah, that's right. And you know what? They already took my money. I pre-ordered that shit on Amazon. I paid real monies.
All right, so I want to talk a little bit about an issue that primarily only exists in New York. Now, this exists in other cities. This happens in other places, but New York is a place that this is endemic to the point that there are competing versions of them. Basically, it's
what?
hobos who dress up as Disney characters
I'm
or
an
the like.
I'm an expert on this because they do this outside my office where I work, and when I go to play Netrunner in the deli, we play Netrunner. They also eat dinner there, and they'll come in, take their costumes off, eat dinner, and go back out.
Yep.
I'm an expert in these people.
So here's the deal. If you live in New York is just an awesome city, but it's also a place that tourists come to.
It's like if Disney World was like, in your living room. It's like, get the fuck out of here, assholes. I'm trying to friggin' watch TV and you guys are like riding Space Mountain.
Now, tourism in the
Get out of
general
my
sense
way.
doesn't bother me because that really just means people visiting places. I mean, I'm technically
Yes.
a tourist when I'm in Munich.
And they give us money to pay for our things, which is less taxes I have to pay, which is
But
nice.
the difference is when I run into people who are in a city, and it's not just in New York. I mean, when I was in Munich, I saw tourists from other places who were doing this. They go to a city, and they're not used to cities, so they treat the city itself like an amusement park. Like
and
it exists to
many
entertain
businesses
them.
taking advantage of them accommodate their behavior and take advantage of their behavior to fleece them of money.
Now, luckily, New York
only
is
to
smart.
bother the rest of us.
We've basically made ghettos for this activity.
Yes, tourist ghettos.
Times Square, South Street Seaport,
Yep.
Battery Park,
Not even Battery Park that
the
much.
bottom left, the bottom right, like south and east corner of Central Park.
The World Trade Center, inside the major museums.
Yep. Empire State Building.
Yep.
So basically, the tourists only go to these places, and these places are kind of set up like amusement parks. So thus the problem. If some hobo buys an Elmo costume and puts it on and walks around.
Or wait, no, it's not an Elmo costume. It's a generic red monster costume.
It's Elmo. I mean, here's a picture of a dude dressed up as Woody taking a leak.
The Woody costume is a Woody costume. I've seen that guy.
Here's some Hello Kitty. Here's some Mario.
Yes, those are clearly, but
Dora the Explorer.
Yes, many of them are undeniably specific characters, but the Cookie Monster and Elmo, you could...
Scott, that is Cookie Monster.
You could argue...
Oh, yes, you could.
That it's Blue Monster. You can't argue the
Yes,
Woody.
you can.
The Woody cannot be argued.
That is Cowboy.
No, it's not.
Cowboy with a backpack.
There is no argument because on the bottom of his shoe it says Andy. There is no argument it's generic
depending
cowboy.
on the canon, there is a point at which it does not say Andy.
But the Cookie Monster
so
is
Scott,
so...
if his canon takes place between when it gets painted and the end of the second movie, then there is no Andy there.
If I owned a costume shop, I might be able to sell the Cookie Monster costume with the words Blue Monster on it without the permission of Sesame Street and get away with it. I could not legally sell that costume, write Cowboy on it, and get away with it without being sued by Disney.
But Scott,
you wouldn't get away with it.
It wouldn't matter. I could buy a straight up Elmo costume. Because you can buy them. There are licensed costumes.
Yes, but you could not walk around and ask for donations with it without being sued. It's not against the law. Well, certain laws.
Actually,
there are certain laws. There's aggressive panhandling.
No. So here's what I'm
against
getting
the
at.
law.
It's likely that many of these people can't actually be sued even for that because it's not a crime to wear a costume in public. It's not even a violation of copyright in many cases unless you're doing a specific performance. It's really complicated.
They're using somebody's intellectual property to make money. They're asking for donations.
But if they don't actually ask and it is unsolicited donations.
It's solicited. They have little like socks that say donations, give me money, and
but
they
this is
wave
where it
them
gets
at people.
complicated. Basically, it's effectively completely unenforceable because technically what these people are doing is they're wearing a costume and they're walking around a perfectly public street in a city that actually encourages and allows street performance anyway.
It allows performance, but there's a law, as I said, against aggressive panhandling / begging, right? You can stand there and say, give me money.
Scott, have you read that law? It is so vague.
But I can't be like, hey, man, freaking give me some money. Grab someone. You can't do that. You can't, like, follow someone and keep asking that one person. You can't. There's a line that is crossed.
Oh, Scott,
where
yeah,
the
but
police can...
one, almost impossible to enforce. Two, the law's too vague. That's not the issue I want to get into.
If I was a cop, I would just stand there and wait for the guy to do something clearly bad and then get him.
Scott, and all the stories indicate that basically, unless they do something really bad, which most of them are smart enough not to.
Which most of them do.
No, actually, most of them don't. You just see the news about the ones that do. I don't think you... There's so
been
many
at
of
least
these
3 or
guys.
4 that do.
Anyway, the reason I bring this up, because I think people outside of New York don't really know what happens here. I don't care about the technicality of the law or how to get rid of them. The thing is, people come to New York City thinking it's basically a big amusement park.
Yep.
They go to the amusement park area and they see costume characters, and because they've never been to a city and they have no level of common sense or basic cynicism in their fellow human beings, they think these people work for New York City.
For New York City?
These people literally think, these tourists see these costume characters and think that it is just like Disney World. They literally do not realize it's hobos.
Okay.
That is the
I know
problem.
they don't realize it's hobos, but I didn't think that they would believe it's someone working for the city. I thought that they would just think it was someone working for Sesame Street or something like that.
No, they think it's either working for the city, licensed by the city. It is an attraction in the city, just like if they go to Bubba Gump Shrimp or they go to a Broadway show. They think it is an actual licensed, official, blessed part of the city.
Yep.
And this is why it's a problem. The problem isn't that there's, the laws and all this stuff. The problem is just the fact that there's a lot of people who basically don't live in cities, don't understand cities, go to cities, and are just rubes waiting to have their money taken from them.
This is not new in Times Square. In the 80s, when we didn't come here, you would play 3-card Monty in Times Square.
We should bring that
Elmo
back.
is the new 3-card. If you set up a 3-card Monty, you will be in jail that night. I guarantee you.
I'll bet I could get away with 3-card Monty.
Where are you going to set up your 3-card Monty? Maybe if you set it up in the night market, you can get away with it.
I would set it up at like the 125th Street subway station, and
you would spend the night in jail.
Nah, it'd be pretty easy to make. I'd make some money and then I'd disappear.
At the very least, you would take a ride in the back of a police car.
I don't think I would get arrested.
There are cops standing like right there all the time. Anyway,
not all the time.
But yeah, basically Elmo is the new 3-card Monty.
Yep. But this is a problem. It's in technology. in a lot of social areas, this problem remains. There is a problem that people don't know how to solve. They want to solve it by regulating the thing, but now I'd hate to blame victims, but there's a point at which the victims are themselves the problem. And this exact thing is a perfect example of that.
Yeah, I mean, people wouldn't send. People wouldn't send spam if no one fucking read it and bought Viagra from it.
But the fact is, spam is profitable, and that's why it exists.
So if you buy Viagra from spam, you're part of the problem. If you give Elmo money, you're part of the problem.
But anyway, things of the day. This might be a comedy sketch video. I'm not sure. But I have witnessed this happening legitimately in my life enough times, just because I was kind of a musician when I was younger, that this is a phenomenon that does happen. There's someone who does know all the lyrics to a song and is going to perform it. However, due to stage fright, nervousness, or just lack of professionalism, they will blank and forget pretty much all the lyrics to the song the moment they start performing.
It can happen.
This is amazing, not just because of...
Now, if that happens, though, why do they continue? Why don't they just apologize and leave with dignity?
Because they're stopping a performance and saying, I forgot the lyrics, and walking off stage has about equal dignity to failing all the way through.
You could do it with dignity. No. Rather than giving people 3 minutes of your song to murmur and go.
Also, Scott, someone who is able to be on top of that is also the kind of person who won't forget the lyrics in the first place.
This is true.
And there's a separate phenomenon, and you'll notice this happens the most when people are singing the national anthem. People will think they know the lyrics to the song, but they don't really.
Won't.
Or they will think they'll start to like murmur words, and their brain tells them that they are singing the words, but really they're going, and the rock is me, and it bursting.
I don't think their brain is telling them.
No.
I think they know they're failing.
They think that other people don't notice. I'm so 100% not joking, Scott.
I think they're trying to hide it and hoping they're getting away with it. And since no one reacted, they think they got away with it. And
afterward, they probably know they didn't get away with it. But while they're singing, they will go meh, meh, and they do not realize.
If you do that the tiniest bit for like a couple syllables, you can get away with it, right? Especially if it's, a lot of classic rock guys. You have no idea what the fuck they're saying in those songs anyway.
Louie.
Yeah, the song was originally that way anyway, right?
Yeah.
You can get away with a lot like that, but...
I feel like you could write one of those...
only so much.
We could write a comedy sketch, like Key and Peele style, in the far future. A guy's singing the national anthem, and the official lyrics are, "In the room, remember singing air."
Or a lot of people they might get like a word off because
watch this video. Me, amore.
No, but they'll get a word off like, national anthem, like. People might not know, like one sentence, and it's like, I thought it was this and this. No, it's that and that.
Yeah.
It was close, but not close.
I would have that problem.
And they'll say the wrong word.
I would actually have that problem occasionally in high school, like performing like Macbeth or Hamlet, where I'd be in the middle of a soliloquy, and suddenly I would just forget if I'd already said like one of the stanzas. And it's like, do I just say it again or just skip it? And I learned from my stage coach that the answer is always skip it. Because
saying something twice is worse than missing something.
Because it stands out way more, except to people who know better.
Exactly.
And the people who know better
something,
already hate you.
Right. It's Shakespeare, right? So, no one
the
understands
audience,
what you're saying anyway.
Half the audience is glossing over it anyway.
Exactly, right? The people who know it know you fucked up either way. If you double
now
it.
you fucked up.
Right.
Now you fucked up.
They know you fucked up either way. They're going to be mad no matter what. So, if you skip it, it might be noticeable to a person who doesn't know the Shakespeare that you repeated. But if you skip, they won't know something's missing, just as long as you skip 2 lines to maintain the pentameter so it doesn't sound weird.
But anyway, I think for a lot of audiences, you could just make up every other sentence
in a Shakespeare,
and people just wouldn't even know. Just like, prithee, forsooth, thou art the Romeo to my...
Yeah, exactly. Half the audience, the smart people, would leave.
Smart people are like, what the Fuck.
And the other half,
Everyone else is nodding
everyone else is
along.
like, why is everyone leaving? This is great.
No, everyone else is nodding like, Shakespeare. But 2, this video is great because of the way it's subtitled.
Okay.
So what do you got for me?
Oh, it's your thing of the day?
That was my thing of the
We're
day.
already thing of the day. Whoa, okay.
Yeah, it's thing of the day. We're already 25 minutes and 20
Good.
seconds.
All right, so Harrison Ford, lately that guy, I'm not sure if he's 100% all ins, but he's still doing some movies, so he's not 100% all out either.
Well, he's definitely, this might be kind of mean to say, but him, Sean Connery.
Sean
Connery.
Who's that?
So Harrison Ford, Sean Connery,
Is that the guy who played James Cookie?
and Tom Cruise. And there's some other actors too, but those are 3 that I've noticed. In interviews where they're doing a bit, they're spot on. But interviews where they're actually being interviewed, they always seem kind of spacey. Like I don't know if it's just because they do that in interviews or if they're just...
And it's not an on purpose, like sometimes,
Like,
a person like a Bill Murray might try to pull.
Are they such a good actor that they lost their real personality? Is it because they're being interviewed? I don't know, but they have this sort of like blank expression and 1,000-yard stare and these really sort of vacuous answers to questions.
Drugs.
But yet when they're on character, they're spot on. Sean Connery, watching him perform, is like, wow, like you forget that he's using the same accent no matter who he's playing.
Yep.
But then you watch an interview with him and you're like, really? That's the guy that I'm so invested in as an actor? This guy?
Take the anal rapist.
Anyway.
So Harrison Ford appears here on the Jimmy Kimmel Show, I guess, and at first it seems like that awkward 1,000-yard stare. This interview is awkward and weird.
It almost reads
and then
like...
he's usually like, if you're going to interview someone like that, you don't want to ask him about. Like if you interview Sean Connery, you don't want to ask him about James Bond. You ask him about whatever he's doing now, right?
Yep. Or like we've interviewed people where there's a list. Like here's the list of things that I can't talk about. So
it's
please
not
don't
just
ask.
things they can't talk about. It's like if someone is super known for one thing, right? Like you don't want to, but they haven't done that thing. That thing is so far in the past.
So you were in a great work known as Crystal Triangle.
Exactly, right? If you're talking to Mamoru Oshii, pretty much anytime he talks to anyone, they're asking him about Ghost in the Shell.
But he only wants to talk about the red spectacles.
Right. He wants to talk about the red spectacles. He wants to talk about fucking,
fucking.
Pat Labor, right? That's what you should ask him about. If you ask him about Ghost in the Shell, he's like, everyone has already asked him every possible question there is to ask about Ghost in the Shell. Everyone has already asked Harrison Ford every question is possible to ask about
Mamoru
Star
Oshii.
Wars.
What is the one question no one has ever asked you about Ghost in the Shell?
That's a good question, but anyway.
I will ask him that if I ever have the opportunity to ask him a question.
He'll say, no, speak English. Okay, so here they start asking Harrison Ford some Star Wars questions, and then you can see they start making a joke with Star Wars people in the audience that get to ask him
It's
questions.
a good joke. The crestfallen look on the first guy.
Right, it's like there's a guy dressed up as a Jedi. They're like, no Star Wars questions. He's like, right? So you can see where they're going with this joke, but still Harrison Ford is awkward, and it's like, what are they doing? And then stick with it through the awkwardness. I guarantee there is a payoff.
This is A+ payoff.
A+ payoff, guaranteed.
This is like one step below Captain Pellew.
It's not quite Captain Pellew.
I said one step below.
Maybe 2 steps.
I'm trying to. Well, then what would be
It's
one step
worth.
below?
It's thing of the day worthy. It's not all time. We're ever gonna remember this again. Thing of the day.
No,
worthy.
but it is a particular kind of payoff that is worth it.
Yes.
Meta moment we should go through quickly because we went kind of long on it a couple days ago.
Yeah.
We're going to be at PAX Australia doing some panels. We're going to be at Anime Boston doing 5 panels.
Kineticon.
Emily's going to be at Anime Boston doing a panel. We're going to be at Kineticon running the panels department with our friend Kristen and also doing some panels. We're going to be at PAX Prime.
Hell or high water.
Yeah. Hopefully we're going to be at PAX Dev. A lot of conventions coming up.
It's convention season, the summer, and we have internets wherever you internet, Twitter, Facebook, etc. Come visit us on the internet, and the book club book is The Player of Games by Ian M. Banks. Read that shit. I picked it up again, and I'm tearing through it so fast. Book club episode will probably be, I don't know, next month.
And specifically, follow both of our YouTube channels. Scott's YouTube channel is Netrunner.
At least for now. I also put other stuff in there.
Yeah, Scott's got good stuff in there. He has a time lapse that he has to finish putting together of that game we played at Burning Con.
Do I?
Did you forgot this? You set up the time lapse of the Viking thing?
I guess I have
Inheritance?
I guess
People have been asking me when you're going to put that up for months now.
I forgot all about it.
Really?
I go look. I don't know. I'll look at my video folder.
You asked me. You made me set up your stupid GoPro in the room. You gave me your GoPro for the express purpose of doing this.
Forgot all about that.
Anyway, go to Scott's YouTube channel, has stuff like that. My YouTube channel has every panel and lecture we do that we have the time and energy to video. Also, all of our ongoing shows like Geeknights Presents.
Utena.
Yeah.
Watch
we will-
Utena because we totally shit.
Yep. And after we finish that, we're going to do Geeknights Presents something else.
Break the World show.
For the sake of world revolution. Oh my God, I want to watch more of that show. So let's get on with that. So anyway, we decided tonight to talk about drugs.
I feel like this was a show we planned to do on a Thursday a long time ago, but when I searched the site, it wasn't on there. Maybe I'm wrong and we did do it, but it wasn't on the site.
So as an experiment,
I figure, we're not big drug doers.
I kind of am.
Yeah, what kind of big drugs are you doing?
I take some loratadine.
I got a table of white powder out in the living room.
I got loratadine and cromolyn sodium on a regular basis, though the latter is non-systemic.
Yeah, I want to talk about every possible
I used to have a pretty
that would fit under the word drug by any definition.
Scott,
the
I used to-
illegal drugs, the medicinal drugs, the everything.
World of Warcraft.
Yeah,
I used to have a pretty ratchet addiction to Dimetapp.
ratchet.
Forumites know what I'm referring to.
Maybe.
So do people who follow me on Twitter.
All right, so why don't we start with the cough syrup, right?
Cough syrup doesn't do shit.
Well, we know. Okay, so recent studies have shown cough syrup, right, doesn't do shit. When I was a kid, I used to get cough syrup all the time, and now I'm pissed because that shit mostly tasted bad, except Dimetapp, which tastes awesome.
When I was a little
But
kid,
if you
I
drink
have
too
it on-
much Dimetapp, you get fucked the fuck up.
I have on good authority from my parents that I was obsessed with it. I loved the taste of it so much that when I was sick,
I didn't love it that much, but it was like, yeah, shit's good.
at least once I found the bottle of Dimetapp and would just take it because I liked the taste of it.
Whoa.
It tasted like the strongest, most concentrated grape juice in the world.
When I was a kid, I actually preferred one thing to Dimetapp in the cough syrup category, which is the sort of orangish flavored triaminic.
I never had Triminic.
It had citrusy action going on. I like orange juice. This is more closer to orange drank, though.
I was all about the Dimetapp,
much closer to orange drank.
and when I was a little bit older, the NyQuil, because my parents learned that if I was really sick, dosing me with NyQuil was the best way to get me to stop bothering them long enough for them to sleep.
Yep. I used the NyQuil more in the high school and college days.
I was pretty much, Dimetapp was the go-to drug that my parents would give me when I was sick.
Yep. So anyway, but NyQuil contains decongestants, which actually fucking work and do something, as opposed to, say, depending on the variety of Robitussin you get, most likely does nothing. At least in terms of cough alleviation.
Now, for much of my life, because I've had allergies, I actually did take allergy drugs. And I also got allergy shots. But
Never had
that's a separate
allergies
discussion.
except for poison ivy,
Yeah, which is an allergy.
which I took steroids to get rid of.
I am currently, to the best of my knowledge, still immune to poison ivy. I'm not allergic to it.
I don't know about that.
Well,
Is it even possible?
Yes. So here's the deal. From what I gather, there are some, basically, once you were exposed to it, you were likely to have an extreme sensitivity to it. But there are some people who do not react to it the first time or second time or third time they're exposed to it. But repeated exposure pretty much guarantees an eventual reaction. So there are numerous times as a kid when I was a jerk ass and I would lead my friends in games of tag or hide and seek through poison ivy because it didn't affect me. And apparently, if I keep doing that, basically anytime I'm exposed to poison ivy, there's a pretty good chance I will have a reaction. But up to this point, every time I've been exposed, I've had zero reaction.
I am reading a Snopes about poison ivy immunity, but it is a Snopes forum thread and not a Snopes post. So
there's no Snopes post?
I will research this off the show.
All right. But anyway, so I took allergy medicine pretty much every day for most of my childhood because that was the only way to be able to not be horribly congested 100% of the time because I was allergic mostly to things that were in the air year round, like mold spores in buildings. And ragweed, so in the spring, that was awesome. But I took this thing called, what was it called? Rhinocort? Not Rhinocort. I don't remember the name of the drug anymore, but they discontinued it because of its somewhat egregious side effects, and now I take loratadine.
I thought you were using nasal crom.
Nasal crom is a completely separate drug that I take in conjunction with loratadine.
Why don't you talk about nasal crom?
All right, so nasal crom is cromolyn sodium, I believe.
Something like that.
It's a non-systemic drug, meaning it doesn't really have any like systemic effects in the body. It literally just binds to the mast cells that allow the allergic reaction to happen.
So it's almost like using like a physical thing. Like instead of spraying something in your ear that would chemically affect, right? It's just like plugging your ear.
Yeah.
It's like a physical thing of block the nose allergy part physically.
Yeah, from what I have read, it prevents the cells in the nose that will cause the allergic reaction from sort of firing or exploding and releasing the histamine. And it has a few other effects too. But because it's non-systemic, you can just take a ton of it and you basically spray it in your nose like 4 times a day.
How does that shit smell?
Smells the worst. The worst. Good God, does it smell like a butt.
So why is it hard to get?
Because apparently it's not popular in the United States because you have to take it 4 times a day and because it smells like shit. So more people would rather take other allergy drugs that aren't as effective and have more side effects because they don't have to take them as often.
Or maybe they just don't know about nasal calm because it's not in the store.
Yeah,
and it's
but
not
anyway,
marketed.
I order my nasal calm on Amazon because I've never found a pharmacy in New York
there's
that
freaking
carries it.
commercials for like, whatever, all those, loratadines all over the place, right?
Yep.
But you never see a commercial for nasal calm.
Well, I don't want to get into the like drug patent name brand versus generic.
No, it's not.
That's like that's an issue I would want to get someone else on the show with us to talk about because I only know so much. But at least in terms of this exact drug, it is super effective.
All right, so my favorite...
And because it's non-systemic, I can take it at the same time as taking an antihistamine.
So my favorite over-the-counter medicines are, number 1, I'll just start at the best one.
All right.
Cepacol.
Cepacol is bullshit.
Cepacol's
Fuck
awesome.
Cepacol.
Cepacol's so sweet.
I have never had a good experience with Cepacol.
Awesome.
When I have a sore throat, it doesn't make me feel any better.
No, it doesn't make you feel better. It just completely numbs your fucking throat. It's like that shit.
Yeah, that feels way worse than just having a sore
no,
throat.
it's like the stuff the dentist gives you before giving you the Novocaine shot, so the Novocaine shot itself hurts less.
Yeah, shit sucks.
And it just like numbs your whole throat and it makes it tingle
In fact,
instead
my
of
game
feeling...
master in high school for Dungeons and Dragons was kind of addicted to Cepacol because
What? That's a problem.
so here's why. It wasn't like us playing D&D now or Burning Wheel now where we have like a 3-hour, 4-hour session. We would play D&D all day, every Sunday.
Okay.
He'd start to lose his voice by like the 7th hour. So he'd start Cepacol to keep going.
Wrong. Bad move. Bad move.
You know what? Good move because I was a player and I didn't want the game to end.
Yeah, but Cepacol, first, you're not supposed to take that much of it. It could fuck you up. And 2, I will only use a Cepacol. Cepacol is like the nuke, right? It's like the strongest possible cough drop you can buy. I will use 1 if like a sore throat keeps me from going to sleep. During the day, I will use Ricola.
So I have not had, since childhood, a sore throat that was not caused by some form of postnasal drip. Flus and colds, the sore throat is almost always postnasal drip and not a direct thing in the throat.
I've had a few directs in the throat because the throat will be the first symptom before the nose or anything else is even bothering.
In my experience, that's usually an unnoticed thick postnasal drip.
Possible.
Because I have found that if I ever get even the slightest hint of a sore throat, I immediately that night take a Mucinex D.
Mucinex D. Ignore those other Mucinex letters. Mucinex D is the real deal.
All right,
That's
those
what
other
the D
letters
stands for.
are
Deal.
useful for certain situations.
Babies.
No, so here's the situation.
They
they're
don't make
useful.
meth.
If you have an actual cough infect, like something that causes coughing, the Mucinex that is a cough suppressant, a real one, and a demuculant is pretty boss.
I'm pretty sure that's D.
No, the D is pseudoephedrine and a demuculant.
All right, let me look.
Pseudoephedrine and guaifenesin.
Right. So the one without pseudoephedrine.
No, that's BS. You don't want the one that's just guaifenesin. Guaifenesin. That's
Okay,
bullshit.
so they got Mucinex, which is multi-symptom cold. They got Mucinex Sinus Max, which is new. Pressure and pain. Mucinex D, which is the awesome one. Mucinex DM, which is team
All right, let's see
mucus.
what's in the sinus mat. Whoa!
What's in that shit?
So Mucinex Sinus Max, I've been taking already when I get sick. All it is the old Mucinex D. So it's guaifenesin and nope, it's bullshit. It doesn't have real pseudoephedrine in it. It has that fake new one that doesn't work as well.
So it's basically Mucinex D with fake pseudoephedrine.
And with Tylenol in it.
Oh.
So when I get super sick, I take the mucinex that is guaifenesin, which is an expectorant. It thins your mucus.
I think it's guaifenesin.
I've heard doctors say it so many different ways. I don't care. It is guaifenesin.
Mm-hmm.
So you take that, it thins your mucus. The way it does that is pretty cool, but I don't want to get into that.
Yep.
It has something to do with it. It irritates
You
your
have
body.
to drink a lot of fucking water if you take that, because it basically thins your mucus with water, so you will dehydrate the fuck. It even says in the instructions, drink a glass of water
Now,
with
kids,
this.
many times you've read a drug, it's like, drink with a glass of water. And you're like, whatevs. You drink it with like soda or something. No, don't fuck around with guaifenesin.
Yeah, drink water because it's going to use all this water from your body to thin out the mucus, and so it won't be all thick and globby, and you can cough it up more easily.
But the
if
key
you drink just a ton of water with it. Drink 3 glasses.
It's coupled with pseudoephedrine. Now, I'm going to look up.
Great for meth.
Yes. Pseudoephedrine is, as far as I can tell, one of the most effective decongestants humans have ever discovered.
Yes.
The fact that we have all these troubles with pseudoephedrine is a separate show that we've probably talked about a lot. But pseudoephedrine is the real deal. Don't let anyone give you that phenylephrine bullshit.
Are you sure that stuff's no good?
I will look it up again to be sure while we talk about other drugs. But Sinus Max is just that plus Tylenol, which is what I already do when I'm super sick. Because I know enough about the drugs from their doctors that I'll take like the guaifenesin, pseudoephedrine together. Separately, I take the Benadryl, and then separately I take the aspirin because none of those interact directly.
See, Rim is the kind where if he is sick, will take tons of drugs.
Because if I'm sick anyway, I'm not stupid. I don't need my body to keep saying pain, 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 don't go anywhere.
If I take as few drugs as possible, right? So if I have a headache, I will only take a Tylenol if it's like so bad.
If I had a headache, I take an aspirin immediately.
I do not. In fact, I don't take aspirin ever because my liver is in much better shape than my
Scott,
stomach.
aspirin does not hurt your liver.
It hurts your stomach.
Yeah, not your liver.
That's what I'm saying is that my liver is in better shape than my stomach, so I don't want to take an aspirin. I'll take a Tylenol because Tylenol hurts liver.
Your stomach is very powerful, but if it gets past that point, it is no longer happy.
So I would rather risk liver damage because I don't drink any alcohols than risk stomach damage.
Well, I've been drinking alcohol continuously over the course of the show, partly because we're talking about drugs.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I actually just finished a big glass of, basically it's a sort of pear liqueur or a pear wine.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm drinking Applejack.
Okay. So you can drink 2 alcohols.
Yeah. Applejack's pretty boss.
Hobo.
Hobos don't drink Applejack.
Anyway.
But what were we talking about?
How I take as few drugs as possible.
Yeah, I take a lot of drugs because I'm already sick. I know I'm sick. The point of all that pain is so I don't go ride my bike or box anybody or run around or start yelling at people or doing karaoke. So I already know I'm sick. Why continue to feel bad?
I don't continue to feel bad. It is such a, the suffering of being sick is so slight and the drugs help so little.
Are you kidding? The drugs have a huge effect if you're actually sick.
No.
If I'm sick and I have a terrible headache as a result of some sickness, and I take some Tylenol or some aspirin, that headache literally disappears. It is gone.
Not so.
100% gone.
Not for me. It disappears at about the same rate as if I did nothing.
That's interesting. Maybe, I don't know if it's physiology or pain tolerance, but if I have
haven't
a headache,
exactly measured this, right? But it's not like, I don't, like, if I take a Tylenol, I don't suddenly, feel like this magical pain go away experience.
See,
right?
I do. If I take Tylenol, my pain within an hour is literally gone.
Is there like a moment where you feel like whoosh, like the headache goes away? And like,
no, it's a slow, sort of like slowly goes away.
But can you feel it and notice it?
Absolutely.
I can't notice it.
Because I also notice when it wears off.
I don't notice.
The last time I was sick, I took Tylenol partly because I was vomiting so much. I didn't want to bother my stomach.
Yeah.
Also, I was drinking no alcohol at the time because I was taking Sudafed. So I figured, all right, I'll take aspirin. Or no, I'll take Tylenol. So I'm doing the Tylenol thing. And right about when it's time to take the next dose of Tylenol is right about when I would wake up with the splitting headache having returned.
See, I just don't, like, if I have a headache and I don't take anything, it goes away, and I just don't notice when it went away. If I take a Tylenol, it goes away, and I don't notice when it went away. So what's the difference? I don't notice when it went away either way. I survive. I have pain for a period, and then it goes away. So what's the difference if I take the drug or don't? If I took the drug and like in a short span of time felt like
It's a short span of time.
like
It's usually about
I noticed it working, I
it's
might
about-
take it more.
It seems to be about 15 to 20 minutes tops before
I
there's a
literally
significant
don't
effect.
notice if it works. I don't notice it working.
That's interesting.
So there you go. So that's why, and even if it did work, I wouldn't take it. I still, would take as few drugs as possible.
I'm a transhumanist, and I've decided that I would like to modify my body to suit my needs. I would
would.
rather not experience superfluous pain.
I also would rather not experience pain, but I also do not really I want to, chemically modify myself as little as possible.
But also, I've read numerous studies saying that regular intake of aspirin specifically,
Good for hearts.
not just hearts, but in general, may actually decrease some of the effects of aging because it reduces stress on your body overall.
People always talk about this stress, right? And it's like, yeah, okay, how do you measure this stress? What does stress mean?
Release of stress hormones that causes low levels of
Like
inflammation.
which ones, released where, how much? Everyone just always says, oh, you've got a lot of stress, you're gonna die. It's not good.
Scott, there are studies that show specific stress
Yeah, but
hormones
no one.
that are
I'm
released.
saying.
Increases in low-level, widespread systemic inflammation, which itself is correlated with early death and cancer.
But do I have this?
I don't know. Maybe
I
you do.
certainly don't feel like I
I don't
do.
know how stressed you are.
I'm pretty chilled out most of the time. So, yeah. Don't really need to be chilled out anymore.
All right, yeah, there are tons of studies questioning whether or not phenylephrine has any significant decongestant effect.
And there it is, a Wikipedia substitute for pseudoephedrine.
Yep, there are tons of pretty legit articles I'm clicking through now about this. But basically, there seems to be a consensus that phenylephrine has almost no effect as a decongestant. Meanwhile, pseudoephedrine has an extreme effect.
Pseudoephedrine 100% works. Like, I noticed that shit working.
Yeah, like if
Like,
you're
you'll be
stuffed
full-
up, you take Sudafed,
Like, I'll be full of phlegm.
your nose is like stopped, like just done, like the faucet just shuts off.
Yep.
And you feel awesome because it's kind of a stimulant, and you have awesome dreams when you take it. But
I don't really notice that.
Really?
I have awesome dreams. I can't really figure out what causes me to have awesome dreams. I've had some lately. They're sort of going away now, but I don't know what they correlate with.
I just read a study kind of randomly about a certain kind of cheese that people who eat it, there is a statistically significant increase in vivid remembered dreams.
Let's get that cheese, yo.
I'll try to find it. I'll click around.
Go to Cheese Shop. And you know what? They won't have it. What do they have?
Have you got cheddar?
No.
Remember when we were trying to come up with a cheese shop bit to do with that failed late show at PAX?
Yeah.
I'm glad we didn't attempt that. That would have been
I wish
nail.
we would have just not attempted anything.
Yeah, but I think had we attempted that bit, that would have been yet another nail in the coffin.
Oh, that shit was so bad.
That was our worst public failure.
If I could forget something in my life, I would forget that.
We learned from it, though.
I
learned a lot.
Don't do that again.
No, I learned things beyond that.
Don't do that again.
Have a backup plan. Have an escape hatch.
Yeah, all right.
Anyway.
I think people want us to talk at least a little bit about the illegal drugs because that's what they like.
Well,
I know some of our listeners do the illegal drugs and some do not to varying degrees.
I know a number of our friends do illegal drugs on a semi-regular basis.
Yeah, many do.
Yep.
Many do.
Yep, many do.
but we
many
do
of them
not.
might not mention it to you just because they know that you don't do at all.
What do they care if I know or don't know? What am I going to do? Call the cops on them?
I don't know. There's a perception that you're kind of judgmental.
If someone had cocaine in the house, yeah, maybe I would call the cops on you. But if you told me, yeah, I smoke weed once in a while, it'd be like, so I don't care what
I
you
haven't
do.
had weed in a long time, but I have smoked marijuana on a few occasions at RIT, and it was an overall pleasant experience, not unlike drinking alcohol in terms of the gravity of the effect.
I have not done that.
Well, you've never had really alcohol either.
No. I'm philosophically opposed.
No,
I don't care what someone else does.
Now, I'm curious why philosophically are you opposed to controlled modification of one's own body?
I do not view it as controlled whatever of your
All right,
body.
so what if
I view it as artificial mind altering.
Yeah,
and
which is fine.
artificial feeling modification.
Yeah. So what if we developed a technology, a chip you could implant into like the base of your skull that would have a button that you could hit and for the next hour, it would give you preternatural powers of concentration.
It depends on the specific workings, but most likely I would be equally philosophically opposed, and I wouldn't care if anyone else did that shit.
Now, it's interesting because
But I would not do that shit.
I am literally the opposite of philosophically opposed. I seek that out. I am a transhumanist to the end. I love the idea.
I would like a robot body. But I would not want to have any sort of mind alteration that is artificial in any way.
But what is artificial versus natural? Your body
everybody
releases all sorts of dopamine and serotonin all over the place based on your activities. You masturbate on occasion and or have sex. And if you do that thing, you're just telling your body to release a bunch of dopamine.
It does, but it is doing that in reaction to activities that I am doing and not, say, chemicals that I am
activities
inducing.
that I'm doing. I'm consuming a chemical rather than moving my hand up and down across my penis repeatedly for 1 to 20 minutes.
I understand that, for example, even food that is not alcoholic in nature can have an effect.
So, Scott, if that cheese that I was just talking
that
about
has
is legit,
a blurry line.
So, Scott, that cheese, if this is legit, I'll try to Google for it. Will you continue to eat that cheese?
It depends.
Depends on what?
It's mostly a subjective judgment of strength, right?
Strength? So it's just the degree of modification?
I mean, everything has degrees at which, it is...
Oh, wow. There is a lot of data on this. I'll continue to research.
That's pretty interesting, yeah.
It appears to be Stilton is the cheese.
But really, what it is if you look at the, if you're trying to discuss, the semantic difference, and I'll admit, it's kind of a blurry, non-exact sort of bullshit line.
I say philosophically, I, as a nominally conscious being with some nominal sense that I have agency, am willing to modify my own consciousness in order to achieve ends that I believe are desirable.
I view it from farther away, and I see that there are some people in this world, who are crazy drug people. And clearly there are many responsible drug people who are not crazy, and there's nothing wrong.
Well, I mean...
and if they do that...
We've seen the two complete ends of that spectrum at RIT.
I have seen all of those spectrums in my entire life.
From the damn it, Dwayne, to our friend
From the hobo lying in the street looking for heroin.
To the guy who's experimenting with drugs on himself and keeping logs of it, trying to design designer drugs, getting an MBA from RIT to run his drug business.
To someone who smokes weed once in a while because perfectly acceptable reason, they just like it, whatever, right? And the way I see it is that you're getting enjoyment, but you're not doing anything that is in itself like it's basically you're getting a feeling that does not match up with anything. It matches up with what? Setting a plant on fire? That makes no sense, right? I can get so much enjoyment from, say, playing board game, right? Or going to convention or going to concert or watching movie or any of those kinds of activities, and there is seemingly... That's awesome. There is an actual, correlation there between, yes, there is an enjoyable activity that I am doing, as opposed to it's almost cheating to go and get the feeling without the activity.
So cheating activity, you're putting a lot of really personal projected values out here.
It's a personal philosophy. That's why I don't get mad if someone else doesn't follow it.
Oh, I know. But
That's just how I do.
But I'm just pointing out.
I don't care what anyone else do.
Like, for example...
I'm not going to say you're a bad person,
Are you going to get a robot body without a robot brain? You're going to have this prone-to-failure organic blob in your robot body?
Well, I mean, even Ghost in the Shell, you have a, real brain in your cyborg body.
Real brain, only for now. That real brain... Notice one of the underlying themes of Ghost in the Shell is that real brain is a huge problem. That's the cause of all the failures, all those, there's that sclerosis that happens, that disease they talk about. It's all because that brain is the weakest link in a modern human with cybernetics.
To counter your anime with another anime, I will bring in the Galaxy Express 39, where the people are immortal with their 100% robot bodies.
And it's awesome to be the immortal robots.
No, it's not. It's because their robot bodies are 100%.
Count Mecha was having an awesome time.
Life has no value when there is an infinite supply of it. Right?
I would argue that is probably not actually true.
I don't know.
Because you're saying that life had value to begin with.
It does.
What is life?
If I don't value life, why am I not just going to kill myself?
But what is life? Are you saying that why is life actually valued less if you're immortal?
Because anything
In
with
fact,
greater
life should be
supply
valued
has
more,
less value
because
per
the
unit.
loss of an immortal life is a far greater loss of agency than a loss of a limited
But
life.
if you can't die, then you won't. Right? See, now I know I'm going to die, so I'm in a hurry. I'm trying to do as much as I can with what little I've got. If I'm
Maybe being
immortal,
in a
I'm just like,
hurry-
fuck it.
Maybe being in a hurry is why humans keep fucking things up. If we had that long perspective,
Then we wouldn't even give a shit, though. We only give a shit, and you can only fuck up because it's limited. If it was unlimited, there would be no such thing as fucking up because you have all the time in the world.
also, did Count Mecha not appear to be having an awesome time until he was murdered by that kid?
Count Mecha was an asshole who friggin' murdered his mom like a
Yes.
deer and hung her on
So-
the wall.
Yes, he was an asshole, but look at it from his perspective. He's having an awesome time. It's great for him.
And he became such an evil fucker because he put no value on life.
How
so
do you know
would
he
just-
wasn't like that when he was a human?
Because if his life was limited,
There's
and he
lots of
wasn't-
humans. Scott, there
if
are
he
lots of
wasn't
humans.
immortal, he would have, whatever.
There are lots of humans who have no compunctions about killing their fellow humans.
Yes, there it is true. But at least we can threaten them. They're afraid of dying themselves, I hope. Unless
All
they're
right.
really fucked up.
Anyway, at this point in the episode, I've had the equivalent of 3 drinks of alcohol
I also,
on
right,
an empty stomach. To be
there
fair,
is a second aspect to the philosophy,
All
right?
right.
Which is, the only way I have of seeing this universe that I believe is for real and not the Matrix and solipsism
is heavily filtered
out the
through
window.
a subjective, organic bag of bullshit that's mostly
right.
random.
I don't want to fuck up that bag any more than it's already fucked up because then who knows what kind of shit
But
I'll
what if you can modify it in a controlled fashion to make it better? What about that drug in the military that continues to be tested that theoretically could let us forego sleep for weeks at a time with no detrimental side effects?
It had to be super controlled, right? It's like if you take LSD, you don't know what the fuck you're gonna see, man.
Yeah, so you realize we were.
But if I could be
we
like-
as humans, Scott, were studying LSD and found that it could be very useful therapeutically in controlled environments.
It could be, but could I, for example, take an LSD and dictate beforehand, I'm gonna see dinosaurs and I'm gonna go.
That's not quite how it works.
Exactly.
In fact, to express the sentiment that numerous people I know who have used LSD on one or more occasions have said, it takes your sort of core personality and amplifies it. Everyone I've ever known who has taken LSD has basically said the same thing, that who you are becomes sort of unfiltered, and the visions or the visualizations or whatever it is you see tend to be what's sort of deep down inside of you. Like what you are without any veneer.
And that's why I'm saving that shit to, because obviously there's the counter philosophy, which is.
Because I will say right now, I am actually, and I've always been very interested in taking LSD and seeing what that would be like.
But the
the
point
only
is-
reason I have not is because I have never met anyone who I would trust to give me actual LSD.
There's a second philosophy, which is I have a short life, as we discussed. I want to experience many things in it.
And that is one of the things you could experience.
So I'm going to save those things until I am very old and almost dead. That way, I will not be, possibly accidentally fucking up my body when I'm young. And 3, of course, is that all drugs, right, even ones like weed, which, aren't really going to hurt you at all, but, you never know, right?
Well, Scott,
it is hot
I would
fire,
argue that-
smoke in your lungs. It damages you.
well, one, if I were to smoke weed again, which may happen at PAX,
Probably use some other form.
I would probably
The brownie
use
form, perhaps?
So brownie form's good, but that has a different kind of
The
effect.
vaporizer form.
The brownie form gives you a different kind of high because of the way it's metabolized.
There are also
and
different
processed.
varieties of weed that give you different kinds, I hear.
Yeah, but I would probably, I mean, depending on what is available, I would not be opposed to the traditional means because I'm not going to do it on a regular basis. But in the long run, if I were to consume it at all, at any amount of regularity, I would probably use at minimum a water bong, most likely some sort of advanced vaporizer.
Yes, the vaporizer is key. But
I am looking to invest actually personally in the companies that make e-cigarettes because I think when marijuana is eventually
they're getting
widely
popular.
legal, I
The
think
e-cigarettes are getting popular.
I think e-cigarette marijuana delivery is going to cause a huge boom in that industry.
I would be okay with that.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't use it. But anyway.
Now, why wouldn't you if there are no demonstrable physical harmful side effects?
Because I have 3 philosophies, and that is only one of the 3. You have to knock off all 3.
All right.
So obviously the third one is I don't want to fuck myself up, so I'm not going to be doing cocaine and shit.
I have no plan to take cocaine or methamphetamine or
crack,
heroin.
Or, heroin, nope, not doing it.
Yeah, but that's just an argument
Morphine,
of degrees and extremes.
Opium, nope.
I mean, marijuana is probably less harmful and
Than
safer
tobacco
than
and
alcohol
alcohol.
or tobacco.
Alcohol is actually probably worse than tobacco even.
But at the same time, every study constantly seems to correlate that people who consume low and moderate amounts of alcohol over the course of their lives live longer.
But there's also tons of studies saying people who drink a lot of alcohol get cancer.
I drink a lot of alcohol, yeah. I don't drink a lot of alcohol.
You just drank 3 alcohols.
I'm working on 4.
Okay, so I drug 0 alcohols. You're 4 closer to cancer than I am.
Yeah, but according
Have
to...
fun with that cancer.
On average, I'm considered a light drinker.
Yeah, well, people are alcoholics. I'll be doing that LSD, I guess, after you're dead.
But Scott, what
'cause
I'm
you're gonna
saying
be
is
dead at like 50-something.
it is possible, you realize, to consume substances that alter your mind in a controlled fashion that does not make you addicted to them. Unless
Yes,
you have an
I'm not worried
addictive-
about being addicted to them because I can't even get addicted to like things that other people get addicted to, like video games and shit.
Yeah,
right?
so would you consider attempting marijuana in a
I
controlled
do not,
fashion?
because I can't control what it's gonna do. I can just control the amount, pretty much.
But Scott, you'll take pseudoephedrine. You can't 100% control what it'll do.
Which is why I do it as little as humanly possible.
But yet you do it when you think the situation warrants.
Extremely rarely.
Yeah.
So what sickness do I have that I absolutely have this pressing need to do weed?
Being a curmudgeon?
Yeah, no, I don't. Don't
No,
have
I'm just
any.
saying, but it would be an interesting experience.
I'll save it for when I'm an old man after I've done all these other experiences.
So, Scott, what it is like, in my experience, which is somewhat limited, is that it basically just makes everything feel very chill.
Everything's already pretty chill.
So it'd feel a little bit chiller than it feels now.
Could it be more chill?
It'd be more chill.
Okay.
You're perfectly content to relax,
Don't need that.
and jokes, on average, are just funnier.
So you'll laugh at jokes that aren't actually funny.
Yeah.
So you'll be stupid. Why would I want to be stupid?
So is it that you're stupid or that you have a different perspective temporarily? Because the thing is, it's reversible. It goes away.
Sure, it goes away, but why would I even want to make myself stupider even temporarily when I could just be smart all the time?
So is it stupider? I mean, I'm not talking about smoking so much
okay,
weed
if
that
you
your
told
eyes
it-
turn red.
If I told, all right, so pretend no one in the room is smoking weed.
All right.
And I tell a stupid joke, and it's a dumb joke, objectively.
I'll probably laugh at it because I laugh at dumb jokes.
And I tell like, why did chicken cross the road to get the other side? And a person honestly laughs. Honestly. Yeah. Is that person a dumb person?
Not necessarily, because I often laugh at dumb jokes and I make dumb jokes.
What will you think of that person if they are laughing?
I'll think that they're a candidate for puns at a later date.
Right. So you're looking at that person different. Like you're judging that person in some way based on that laughter.
So Scott, you, when you are sick, laugh at dumb jokes and react very differently to things that you would react to when
If
you're
I
not
could,
sick.
I would also not alter my body with diseases.
But Scott, when you're sick
Are
with
you
disease,
saying drugs are diseases? I
No,
agree.
I'm going to let you in on something. It's a little secret. Emily and I and many of the crew will agree. When you are sick, it's kind of adorable.
So
The way you act and the way you speak is just ridiculously cute and
So
adorable
I
and
should
funny.
do drugs for your entertainment
Yes.
and my detriment.
Yes.
Yeah,
No, I'm simply saying that I
That's
don't...
another philosophy I have. Don't hurt myself
All right,
for the
Scott, I'll put
benefit
it
of
this way.
others.
I would argue that the occasional use of marijuana...
I should do drugs as a charity? No.
No, I'm saying the occasional use of marijuana is probably less overall dangerous than biking in New York on a regular basis.
Maybe, but biking is way more fun.
But Scott, part of the reason you enjoy it
Biking
is
is
because your
entertaining for
body
me and not
is-
for you.
Your body is releasing substances that make you feel good because you exercise.
But I am getting those chemicals, honestly. I'm working
you're
for those
getting those chemicals due to that are
by
beyond an
moving my legs and not by
Beyond
setting
an-
a plant on fire.
beyond an arbitrary 100% subjective line.
It is my line.
I know it's your line, but I'm saying that
and it's
line
not
doesn't
based
exist.
and it's not based on some, falsehood like an imaginary man.
No, it's not falsehood, but it is
So-
arbitrary. You cannot say it's not arbitrary.
Everyone has arbitrary lines.
Yes,
You have
and-
many arbitrary lines as well.
I do. The
And
word
these are my-
ginormous is a terrible word. And
and
if
as
you use
long
it,
as
you're a terrible
right.
person.
And as long as you do not apply or try to force your arbitrary lines on others, no one gives a shit, right? Like if that guy wants to be kosher, even, sure, doesn't try to make me be kosher, doesn't come into my house and take my bacon. I'm not coming to your house taking your weed, so don't
Well,
be...
of course he's not coming to your house and take your bacon. He doesn't want to touch your bacon.
Exactly. So, or he doesn't try to make the government take away my bacon either.
Well, some of them do.
Not in this country.
Not in this country, no.
If I don't want to smoke weed, as long as you don't try to force your weed on me, and I don't try to take your weed away from you, it's all good.
Yeah.
And that just shows you how chill I am without weed, that I don't give a shit.
You'd be more chill, though.
I think I'm already at the plenty of chillness level.
It would go up to 11.
More chillness
would
would sort of go over the point to where it's like too much, and I would be danger zone.
Yep. Plus, I also consume caffeine on a regular basis as a
I also
performance
avoid
enhancer.
that. I don't avoid it entirely. I mean, it's in chocolate, it's in things, but I do not go after it. I don't do like Altoids.
But Scott, caffeine...
I don't do Penguin Mints. I don't do Red Bull.
Caffeine and coffee are both correlated with longer life.
Don't do
and
coffee.
Pretty much almost all positive effects.
Let's see who will live longer.
I am confident that I'm going to outlive you unless I die in a skiing accident.
I was hoping on the skiing accident.
I think if I'm going to die before you, it is going to be due to some accident related to me in a sporting event.
All right, I was going to say let's make some sort of wager where whoever dies second has to do something embarrassing. But instead, I have decided...
Wait, if I win, I don't want to have to do something embarrassing because you died.
I instead have decided instead of making a bet, we shall make a pact. And the pact shall be, we must die in a Jeffersonian Adams-like fashion.
All right, I get to be Adams.
It doesn't matter which one you are. That's the point.
You know what's funny? One of my friends from high school, we had the same shtick where basically I was Jefferson, he was Adams, and we had the exact same pact that you brought up just now.
It's a three-way.
I think we've all seen 1776 too many times.
Sure. Are we done?
Scott still lives.
Without drugs to help.
But seriously, Scott, caffeine, in the very least, what I will say is that while, it's okay that you don't use caffeine, I respect that. But what it does for me, the feeling caffeine gives me, is that if I'm awake and I have caffeine, it doesn't do anything.
Okay.
I enjoy coffee, but it doesn't do anything. If I'm tired and I consume some caffeine, for an hour or two, I am no longer tired.
I have never tried it while tired. I have usually eat chocolate and things during the day.
If you consume caffeine when you are tired, it will make you not tired for an amount of time. Now, if you try to go too far, like say you're up 2 hours later, you were tired, but you wanted to stay up for those last 2 hours of PAX on Saturday. If you keep trying to take caffeine to go further, the effect is less and less and less and less and less. So there's still a limit.
Right, but here, take an example, right? My body on its own. Remember at MagFest? We were up until like 5 a.m. and I felt super awake with no chemical help whatsoever where you were Red Bulling.
I was Red Bulling partly because I'd stayed up later the previous night.
I did as well, but I was up at 5 a.m. and felt like I had just woken up and I was ready to rock and roll. I was not tired in any way,
but
without any chemical aid whatsoever.
Yeah, and I don't always Red Bull at night, but...
When you do.
But I'm saying the point at which you
get
don't
tired, always Red Bull at night, but when you do.
When you do, Chase makes out with a furry.
That's right.
But if you get to the point where you are tired and you consume a small amount of caffeine, you will magically not be tired for an extra hour or two.
You know what
and
I do
instead? And then at the end of that time, you know what you'll do? You'll be tired.
You know what I do when I am tired? I sleep for 8 hours and then I wake up and I'm no longer tired.
So what about the situation... like at that dreaded Katsucon where we were sick and we did that late show, which actually went okay, where you're tired.
I was sick.
Yeah, you were also tired.
I was sick.
You could have taken enough drugs and caffeine to not be tired and feel great for those 2 hours.
I did. I had orange juice and it worked great.
I remember that moment where we shared the orange juice with our guest because he was also kind of sick. And we had our moment of commiserating over orange juice and the audience seemed to really dig
Why
that.
couldn't our late show at PAX be like that late show?
Because the standards at that venue were much lower than the standards at PAX.
Yeah, that one wasn't that, it was better, but still wasn't that good.
But it was good enough for the venue.
Yeah.
And I think that's all I'll say.
It was
about
better
it.
than the PAX one.
Yeah.
All right.
It was partly because the first guest was chiller than our other first guest.
Yes. All right.
Yeah.
Are we done with the show?
I think we're done with the show.
Okay. You like the show to end?
I like the show to end because I'm really freaking hungry. This This has been Geek Nights with Rim and Scott. Special thanks to DJ Pretzel for the opening music, Kat Lee for web design, and Brando K for the logos.
Be sure to visit our website at frontrowcrew.com for show notes, discussion, news, and more.
Remember, Geek Nights is not one, but 4 different shows. Sci-Tech Mondays, Gaming Tuesdays, Anime Comic Wednesdays, and Indiscriminate Thursdays.
Geek Nights is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution 3.0 license. Geek Nights is recorded live with no studio and no audience. But unlike those other late shows, it's actually recorded at night.
Gonna sneeze us all midnight.